Sweetie Pie, start us off.
Okay. Hi everyone. I thought that since there's a lot of new faces around here, well, faces, usernames, a lot of new people around here, I thought that we would take a vlog and dedicate it to talking about our losses. We've kind of talked about them here and there, but I thought we'd just lay it all out and share our story with you.
Go ahead.
Me go ahead? You're gonna make me tell the whole thing?
You do a great job at it.
Okay, so we're gonna try and make it quick, but there's kind of a lot. But we started trying to get pregnant with Carter, and it took us about 6 months to get pregnant with him. We found out that we were pregnant right after my birthday in 2016. So we got pregnant. Our pregnancy was great. I loved being pregnant. I loved it then, and it was just easy and textbook. So he was due in November, but at the end of September, there was one day that I felt like I hadn't really felt him move. And so the next morning we went to the doctor and they did an ultrasound and a non-stress test and everything looked fine. And then like 2 weeks later, they sent us to a pediatric cardiologist to do a fetal echo, and his heart looked great. And then a couple weeks, or like, I don't know, a week and a half later, they had us do another ultrasound because my stomach was measuring small. And that last ultrasound, everything still looked fine. He was a small baby, but he was still on track developmentally. And then 6 days after that ultrasound, we went back for our 39-week appointment, and we had lost him.
And leading up to that point, like, we had gone to Logan, and that weekend you hadn't really felt him, right?
That was the weekend that we went in, yeah.
So there was a couple times where Caitlin, like the kid counts weren't lining up, and she wasn't feeling him as much as she should, but we went in, they checked him out, everything looked good. We went to, specialists, and everything looked okay. So we were we were definitely blindsided when we went in for our 39-week appointment, and there was no heartbeat or anything there. Yeah, that was
It was rough.
That was really rough.
It sucked.
Yep.
So we came home that night and like put some of the stuff away, because we had the pack and play out like for a bassinet, and we had the car seat was in the car. So we just like put a bunch of stuff away, and then went to the hospital that night and got induced, and he was there 12 hours later. And I mean, all things considered, it was a really beautiful experience still. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, as much as it could, the actual delivery and the labor part of it went as smoothly as it could possibly go. It wasn't drawn out or anything. We checked in that night and we were released from the hospital the next evening, so within 24 hours. So it was pretty...
It was quick.
I don't know, it was quick. It was as smooth as it could have gone, I guess.
Yeah. So we got to spend time with him. We had a couple hours with him. Our parents were down here, so they got to meet him too. And at some point, we just decided that it was time to say goodbye. So we sent him with the nurse, and then the next time we saw him was a week later at the funeral home. We did a little graveside service for him, but Brandon and I went to go see him at the funeral home beforehand, and he just so perfect. Like, he's just the cutest little baby I've ever seen. Like, so cute. But his little service was nice too. We just had family, and then we had a luncheon after so that everyone could be together, and we were able to share some pictures, and that was really nice. So we lost Carter in October of 2016, and then the following March, like a year and a day after we'd found out we were pregnant with him, we found out we were pregnant again. And we were both so surprised. I think, like, we weren't expecting it to happen that quickly.
So shocked.
Yeah.
Just because it was so quick after everything. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Just because it had taken so much longer to get pregnant with Carter, I wasn't really expecting anything, I guess.
Yeah.
So definitely a big shock.
Yeah, but that pregnancy was great too. And our doctor was really on top of things this time. He was like, whenever you guys want to come in, just call us or just come in. So we did. We had our first ultrasound at 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah. Super
early. But we just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. And then everything was good, and we got my blood drawn to do some genetic testing, and like 5 days after we got the blood drawn, I woke up and I felt like I had leaked fluid. And so we went to the ER, and I hadn't leaked fluid, but they did an ultrasound and they said, okay, the baby's fluid looks great. And so we were like, oh, okay, perfect, like everything's fine. And then we went back to the room that I was in, and the doctor came in and he said, this baby has what we call cystic hygroma, so swelling like up here of the lymphatic system. And he said, you are going to lose this baby. And I just remember, like, I laid my head back and I said, not again.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way that that happens to the same couple twice in a row, especially when there's no reason why we should be losing any of our babies. But so we went to our doctor the next day, and he looked and everything. He said, looked okay. And then the following day, we got our genetic test results back.
And on the genetic results, it confirmed that there was a genetic abnormality, that the baby had trisomy 13. And so with that, in conjunction with the cystic hygroma, it's usually deduced that more than likely the baby will not last through development and not through delivery. Now, that's not to say it doesn't happen, but it's very uncommon and very rare. Mm-hmm. And even if the baby is born, most likely it's going to have a lot of developmental issues. So at that point in time, he kind of just told us to expect the worst. And we ended up losing that baby a couple days later, right?
Yeah, so after we got our results back, he sent us to a maternal fetal medicine specialist, and they did a really in-depth ultrasound. They looked, and the swelling had grown, and we kind of discussed our options. Mm-hmm. Because there was the option to terminate the pregnancy, and that was not something that either of us wanted to think about. Like, it was really hard to think about losing another baby full term, but it was also really hard to think about choosing to end the pregnancy when we were so grateful for it in the first place. So that was the Friday before Mother's Day, and we were supposed to go out of town that weekend, and we got about an hour away from home, and I said, you know what, let's just go home. Let's go home, mm-hmm. spend time together, just with us, and, you know, surrounded by our babies. And so we did that, and that following Monday we lost her. I was at work, and I kind of just felt like something was off that day. So we went to the doctor that afternoon, and she was gone. And we were about 14 and a half weeks. But it sucked to lose her, but I'm grateful that we didn't have to make that choice.
Yeah.
Like, just not something that either of us wanted to do. So the next day we went in for a D&C because she was little, and to deliver her would have been really tough on my body, and part of me just wanted to kind of just get it over with, I guess, which sounds really awful, but it had already been hard enough. I didn't want to go through that whole process.
And there'd be a lot of health complications with that, and so we just thought it'd be better for Caitlin and just better health-wise to do the D&C then.
Yeah.
So
that was in May. It was May 16th that we had the D&C. So that summer we kind of just went about life and said, whatever happens, happens. There's no reason why we shouldn't try for another baby, but if it doesn't happen for a little bit, then that's okay. And 39 weeks, and exactly 9 months after we lost Carter, we found out that we were pregnant again. We went in to the doctor, and I had asked for an ultrasound to check out an ovarian cyst, and the tech said, well, there's definitely something there. And I said, like a baby? And it was a baby. So found out we were pregnant that day, and it was a huge shock to both of us because I hadn't, like before, I kind of had shown signs of moodiness, and I hadn't shown any of that with this baby, and I was 6 weeks along. And so we got really excited that weekend. Like, we let ourselves talk about it, talk about when we were going to bring the baby home, and rather than saying if, we said when. And yeah, like, we let ourselves get excited, and it was nice for a change. But then 5 days after we found out we were pregnant with that baby, I was at work, and I went into the bathroom, and I found out that I was bleeding. And so I rushed to the doctor, and I called Brandon, and he met me there. And I wasn't like actively bleeding, the doctor said, and they did an ultrasound and everything looked okay. It didn't look great, but I came home that afternoon and I kept bleeding, and I woke up the next morning and I was still bleeding, and so I called the doctor and he said, yeah, if you're still bleeding, you're probably miscarrying. So I took that week off of work and we both stayed home and just waited for everything to pass. And that one, I think, for me at least, that loss was, it was really hard.
That one was really hard on Caitlin. I think, I don't know, it was kind of just a cap on everything else I'd gone through, and we, like she said it, we had let our emotions get ahead of us a little bit, and we were really excited. We were really, excited for this one, and we kind of let it get ahead of us a little bit, I think. And so that one hit Caitlin really hard. Even though we only knew for 5 days, I think that one, just on top of everything else, really put a lot of pressure on Caitlin, emotionally.
I think partially because like it was so unexpected. Like with Carter, we both talked about how the whole time we felt like maybe something wasn't going to go the way that it should. And even the day that we found out that we had lost him, like I knew before the doctor told us, I knew that he was gone. And then with little Bean, like we had the genetic results. We knew we were going to lose her. But that one, it just came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really rough. And yeah, I think that was the point that it kind of made me question, like, are we supposed to have kids? Am I going to be a good mom? Is there a reason why all this is happening? And so I think that it was kind of my breaking point for a little bit. So, yeah, those are the 3 that we've had.
Yep.
And it's hard. It's not, I don't know, it doesn't ever go away. And even though we're pregnant now, and so far everything looks good, it's still, there's still that grief every single day. And the thought of what might have been.
I feel like the grief has been really heavy this week. I don't really know what's triggering that, but I feel like this week's been particularly hard, and I don't know if that's just, it's a milestone week. It's around Caitlin's birthday, which is, usually a day that is there to be celebrated, but so I don't know if that's what it is, but I feel like this week's been really hard, especially for Caitlin. I think it's been a lot harder than she expected, I think, and so that kind of caught her off guard, and it's been pretty difficult for her.
Tomorrow does mark 2 years since we found out we were pregnant with Carter. And so, yeah, that's probably part of it. I don't know, like it's nice to look back on those things and think about the time that we had with each of them, but I wish that they were all here. Like I wish that we could have, like, I don't know, how awesome would it be to have Hudson be the 3rd baby that we get to bring home?
Yeah.
That would be really nice. So anyway, I feel like we just hadn't kind of laid everything out chronologically. We've talked about everything here and there, but just wanted to share it, I guess. We're not the only ones that have experienced multiple losses, and those of you who have, my heart goes out to you, because it's not easy.
Yeah. So, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you being here, sharing this little journey we have with us. And we'll just keep sharing. And you're welcome to join.
So, that's it. We'll see you guys next time.